Good morning! It is a beautiful, beautiful day today. Finally starting to cool down here in Arizona, just a wee bit. And I have like another hour in the morning where I can actually do yoga outside without completely dying from heat and sun exposure. I am literally so tan on my shoulders, it is ridiculous. So this morning I felt very inclined to just chat for a second about why I have stopped calorie counting. Now, I am somebody who, when I am wrong, I'll admit it. And you guys were right, I was wrong, you win. So I'm not gonna say that calorie counting is a bad thing, I just wanna share my experience from doing it for the first month of my weight loss journey. I basically did this just to get a control on my fat intake because for the last 4 or 5 years, I would say 5 years, I have not counted calories at all. And when I started doing it, I realized why I stopped. The problem for me is I have gotten so in tune with my eating and eating when I'm hungry that this is the biggest problem that I had with counting calories. It really messed up my intuitive hunger and made me crazy about food. So typically when I would wake up in the morning, because I eat the same thing every day, I would just roughly put into Chronometer like what I was gonna have for breakfast, what I was gonna have for lunch, and what I was gonna have for dinner, and just see how many calories that was. Here's where things got bad. I was gonna say sketchy. So whenever I found myself going to have a meal, I was like manipulating the fat intake first of all to get it low enough to be under 15%. And that was the first problem because I found myself eating more calorie dense foods that were lower in fat, like dates and even smoothies and stuff like that. Here's a bug. Versus eating a bowl of oatmeal. Now, I have nothing wrong with fruit whatsoever. I love it. But I find if I have oatmeal in the morning, I am so much more satisfied during the day than if I have a smoothie. If I have a smoothie, it's kind of just like an appetizer for me, and it doesn't fill me up. I get hungry right after, and basically an hour after I drink a smoothie, I need to eat something more starchy. I know that the fruit diet, it works for people. Like a lot of people love eating fruit. They love eating raw foods and tons of salads and like tons of stuff like that. For me, it doesn't work for me. Like I am a starch girl. I love white rice. I love potatoes. I eat potatoes every day. I eat rice every single day with a ton of vegetables. This is not working out very well. And that was the first problem for me because I just found I was like manipulating my macros with more processed foods, not processed foods, but more calorie dense foods. I don't even know why. The second reason that I have just gotten rid of the calorie counting is because it is stressful. Like it is stressful to try and figure out like how much you're gonna need on any given day, and giving yourself a specific number every day is really detrimental. And I learned this, and I know you guys told me this and you are correct, but it's something that I just forgot and I just wanted to try it out. But you are going to need a different amount of calories every day. Like yesterday I ate a lot of food and I went to bed really full and satisfied, and I usually find whenever that happens the next day I just naturally don't eat as much. But when you're eating a certain amount of calories every day, maybe you go over one day and then the next day you try and just hit your goal, or you think that you have like messed up and you're like, screw it, I'm gonna get back on track tomorrow, and you kind of just make the day as a wash. Now, I have not eaten any junk food since I started this like second weight loss journey, but I did find myself eating more processed foods just because I could track them, and you know, they were low in fat and they had minimal ingredients, things like bread or lavash bread, a lot of dried fruit, and like I said, just smoothies and stuff. And these are things that just don't really fill me up at all. But this last month, I have found not tracking my calories, I make so many better decisions because I am eating from my favorite food groups, which are whole starches like potatoes, rice, whole grains, beans and legumes. I eat a lot of black beans, a lot of red lentils, green lentils as well. Vegetables, I eat so many vegetables. It is ridiculous. And fruit. But the thing, like I said, when I was tracking my calories was I was choosing like dried mango and dates instead of just eating like watermelon, which is so much more filling and satisfying because it's not a more processed condensed food that's had all of its water, dehydrated out of it. The third thing that I just want to say is that I found, like I said, that my hunger signals were totally messed up. And I think that this was because I was stressing about the amount of calories that I was eating every day. I was trying to like stick to these certain parameters and whatever, and I wasn't listening to myself. For the past month that I haven't been calorie counting, I've been eating totally in tune with my hunger. Some days I literally don't eat until like 1 o'clock and I'll eat dinner at like 7. Some days I wake up and I have breakfast at 9. So it's totally all over the board, and I think that that's the way that it should be because your hunger is not going to be the same every single day. It depends how much food you ate the day before, how late you ate dinner, how much food you still have in your system, how much glycogen stores you have, how active you are in any given day, your hormone levels on any given day. So it totally varies all the time. And I have actually found that I have been eating less calories and more food volume-wise than I was when I was counting calories. But when I was counting calories for the first month, I found myself, I think just because of stress, eating when I wasn't hungry. And then when I would eat a meal, I would always feel deprived because I would have it like pre-portioned and weighed out, and it felt like this is all that I can eat and I can't eat anymore if I'm hungrier, which is such a bad mindset. And I'm not here to demonize calorie counting. I am just sharing my experience because it works for some people. Like for some people, it really helps them a lot. And I do think that it helped me get my hunger back in check and realize that like I was eating so much fat. Like I honestly think I was eating like 30 to 40% fat before I did this. I was eating just like overdosing on avocado toast and putting tahini on everything. And like it is crazy how much easier weight loss is when you eat low fat. At least for me, I find I am so full and satisfied off of eating the foods that I'm eating. I don't actually eat any overt fats at this point. So I just wanted to share that with you guys today. Say from the bottom of my heart, you were right. And I'm just grateful for you guys, always having my back. I didn't really have a plan for this video, but I have something really important to share with you guys later, and it is the secret to sushi. I literally figured out the secret to non-fishy sushi. You know how people are always like, I can't eat sushi because it is so fishy, but like when you go to a sushi restaurant, it never tastes like that. I'm gonna show you guys that secret when I make lunch today, so hang on tight. You guys just come out here to see mommy? Dougie, you're getting so big. Alright guys, here is my earth-shattering discovery that I just recently found out with sushi. I have been making sushi for years, and I don't know how I just figured this out, but I've been binge watching sushi videos on YouTube because one of the biggest things that I don't like is when I make sushi at home, for some reason that I just could not figure out until now, is that every time I made it, it tasted so fishy. And whenever I get it at a sushi restaurant, it doesn't taste like that. Here's the problem. It is not your nori, it is your rice. So when I typically make sushi, I take it out of the rice cooker and I just spread it on my nori with a spatula. That's not what you want to do. You want to let your rice cool down for 10 to 15 minutes before you spread it onto your sushi. When you spread the rice onto your nori when it's hot, it basically like cooks the nori a little bit and brings out the flavor of that fishy seaweed taste, which I do not like. When you let it cool though, you want to let it cool to a point where you can pick it up with your hands and spread it out with your hands. And I know for some people you're gonna be like, duh, Hannah, I've known that forever. But to me, like just figuring this out, it was the most life-changing thing I've ever found in my life because I eat sushi every day almost, and I just love sushi so much and I could never figure out how to make it. So I'm going to show you guys how I make it and all that jazz right now. So about 10 minutes before you want to make your sushi, you just want to put a cup of short grain sushi rice that you have cooked in your rice cooker into a bowl and add a tablespoon of seasoned rice vinegar. I just use this one that I get from Safeway, but you could also make your own. There are tutorials on YouTube how to do that. And then you want to fluff your rice around the bowl so that it's spread out so that it can cool down with a fork. Let that sit for 5 to 7 minutes, and then you're just going to want to fluff it again and flip it over so the other side can cool, and then you are ready to make sushi. So another thing that I found is that if you use half a sushi sheet instead of a whole one, it also tastes less fishy. I usually just put cucumber inside my rolls, so I've recently just been using half of a sheet because for some reason when you use a whole one and you wrap the sushi sheet so many times, it just makes it taste more fishy. So that's another little hack that you can use. But I'm just going to be making a cucumber maki roll, and I'll show you guys how to do that right now. So another thing that I do not do is take my rice like this and plop it on there and then spread it into the nori. You actually want to wet your hands and then take about half of a cup of rice for a maki roll and then spread it just nice and finely, and you'll know that your rice is cool enough when you can touch it. Then you just want to take some cucumber inside, and then all we're gonna do is wrap this really tightly. And then to roll this, you basically just bring the rice over the cucumber and squeeze it really tight, and then roll it one more time. And then to cut these, we're just gonna get our knife a little wet, cut them in half and then in thirds. And then we have beautiful non-fishy maki rolls. Now I know this sounds like the most easy solution ever, but it makes so much difference when you do not use hot rice on your sushi. So try this out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments box below, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.